If someone is physically disabled and they have dementia or Alzheimer's, are they still at risk for wandering off? And the answer to that is yes, they are. And you wouldn't think that, right? Because if they're physically disabled and having to use a wheelchair, a rollator, or they're very slow moving or something like that, you would think the physical disability would keep them from being an elopement risk, but they are. And it's very interesting why that is. So let's take a look at that today. Well, dementia changes, of course, how the brain processes fear, confusion, and a perceived threat. And this can activate the fight or flight system more easily in someone with dementia or Alzheimer's. If they're confused, overstimulated, or frightened, the person may try to escape the situation, even if they don't know where they're going. And of course, this is one of the most common triggers for a dementia or Alzheimer's patient to wander off. The brain may misinterpret the environment as unsafe, causing the person to seek a safe or a familiar place. Quite often, their old home, a workplace, or a favorite childhood location, like maybe their childhood home or something. Restlessness and agitation also plays a big part in this. The fight or flight activation increases pacing, repetitive movements, and attempts to leave, all known as precursors to wandering off. The misinterpretation of a noise, shadow, a crowded room could feel threatening to them, prompting the person to move away from it. So as the dementia progresses, the person may lose the ability to understand exactly where they are at that moment. The ability to communicate that they're feeling distress to somebody. The ability to remember instructions that someone gave them, like stay here for a minute. The ability to judge a hazard to their safety. This means that even if they cannot walk well, they may still attempt to stand, but of course they could fall, and that's the danger, right? They could move towards doors or exits. They could even leave in their wheelchair. They could follow someone else who is leaving, and they can wander within the home and become even lost in rooms or in hallways. Wandering off is documented even in moderate to advanced stages of Alzheimer's and dementia. So it is a real danger to that person that has it. They can become confused about time or place. They could be searching for someone like a spouse, a parent, or a child of theirs or something. Like I said, they may get overstimulated by even a crowded room or a noise and try to flee that situation from, overstimulating them because they get very stressed out about it. Even under stimulation, they could become bored. There could be a lack of activity for them to do, and they want to go find something to do. That could be safe for you or I, but it might not be safe for them. unmet needs that they have, such as they need to go to the bathroom, they're hungry, they're thirsty, they're not feeling well. And of course, sundowning. That's a very, very common reason for dementia and Alzheimer's patients to wander off. Sundowning is late day confusion, and that's extremely common with dementia and Alzheimer's patients. They may feel lost or abandoned. Maybe they're remembering an old routine that they had in the past, like needing to go to work, or maybe picking up a loved one from work, or needing to pick up a child from an activity that, they used to do regularly in the past. So, because wandering can happen even with a physical disability, it's really important that safety planning go into effect. You don't want to wait until it happens. Door alarms or motion sensors are very good. That way, if they are trying to get out, you immediately know because that alarm goes off. Having locks placed high or low out of sight. Removing visual cues like coats, keys, bags. That's very important and can really be very helpful. Creating a calm environment and having structured routines. Routines are imperative to dementia and Alzheimer's patients. They thrive on routine. They might not be able to remember their full routine. They might not be able to tell you their full routine. But there's something in that brain that they still somehow get to know, kind of like a very, very young child. And they thrive on that. When there's something new that disrupts that routine, then it can throw the whole day off or the whole evening off. So it's really important to keep that routine as much as possible. Providing meaningful daytime activities for them. Whatever it is that they like to do that with them. Maybe they enjoy doing puzzles. Maybe they enjoy doing word searches, music. Maybe they enjoy painting or reading. Find stuff that they like to do. Take them maybe out for a short walk somewhere, but keep a very, very close eye on them. Don't leave them alone even for a second. And this is very important too, using ID bracelets or a GPS tracking device with them. That way, if, heaven forbid, something were to happen and they were to wander off, hopefully they could be found sooner rather than later by having that ID bracelet or the GPS tracking device. The GPS tracking device bracelets or the ankle monitors are wonderful because, like they're called, they use GPS. So wherever your loved one is, they can use that to track them and locate them. And that's a wonderful, wonderful invention that has come along in recent years to try and locate at-risk when they do wander. So why then does the fight or flight take over the disability per se, right? Because like I said, they're in a wheelchair and they try to get up, they could fall. Or if they have to use a walker, a rollator, or they walk slowly or something, why then does the fight or flight kick in and override the disability? Well, We already discussed what can trigger it and cause it. So when those triggers happen and they feel, sorry, I have like a hair or something on my lipstick and it's irking me. When that happens and they have that urge to immediately take off and go, they're not thinking at that moment about their mobility issue. Okay? That's not at the forefront of their mind at that moment at all. Wandering is driven far more by brain changes at that moment than by physical ability. And why this happens is, one, spatial awareness. They may not even recognize where they are or how they got there, right? Their memory, like I said, at that moment, they believe that they need to go home, go to work, or find someone. They're not thinking about their judgment at that moment. They don't realize that it's being impaired. Oh, here comes my cat. He wants to say hello. Say hi, Jessie. So all they're thinking at that moment is about what their needs are at that moment. And so they may not understand the danger or their own physical limitations. Their impulse control is just about acting on the urges and not thinking through the consequences. So, because wandering is a cognitive symptom and not a physical one, that's what puts everyone with dementia at a considerable risk for wandering off. When that fight or flight kicks in, that's it. They're just, like I said, not thinking about their physical disabilities or anything else. They're just thinking about, at that moment, what it is that they're wanting or needing, and everything else just falls completely away. And that is what takes control at that moment. And that's when the fight or flight has kicked in. And at that moment, it's imperative that you try to distract them with something and keep them from wandering off. Don't try to reason with them. Don't try to explain anything away. Because like I've said before, trying to reason with someone with dementia or Alzheimer's is like trying to argue with a wall. So, except the wall isn't going to become stressed out and maybe become agitated and react at that moment. And you don't want that either, because that's just going to escalate the situation. So, I hope that helps. I really would encourage you, like I said, if you don't have an ID bracelet or a GPS tracking bracelet or ankle bracelet monitor for your loved one, I know a lot of police stations have those and will give them away for free. The Dementia Society is giving away ID bracelets right now for dementia and Alzheimer's patients and their caregivers for free. All you gotta do is fill out the application form, and that's free on their website. So I hope that helps. Take care. God bless you. And I and Jasper will see you next time. Bye-bye.